What happens when a rising music star sits down for what should be a friendly interview, only to find himself defending his entire career against a host who refuses to let up? Today we are diving into one of the most shocking moments in daytime television history, when Benson Boone, the voice behind Beautiful Things, found himself in a verbal battle that spiraled so far out of control. He did something almost no guest has ever done on The View. Before we get into this wild story, make sure you hit that subscribe button and drop a comment below telling me whose side you are on in this clash, because trust me, you are going to have opinions. All right, let's get into it. The studio audience at The View was buzzing with anticipation as Benson Boone walked onto the set. The young singer had been riding high on the success of his breakout single, and his appearance on the show was supposed to be a celebration of his meteoric rise in the music industry. The panel of hosts greeted him warmly as he took his seat, smiles all around. Whoopi Goldberg started things off with a friendly question about his journey from social media to stadium tours, and Benson was charming, humble, answering with the kind of genuine enthusiasm that had won over millions of fans. The audience clapped along, clearly loving him. Sarah Haynes asked about his creative process, and he opened up about writing songs in his childhood bedroom, about pouring his heart into every lyric. Everything seemed to be going perfectly. Then Joy Behar leaned forward. "So Benson," Joy said, her tone shifting to something sharper, "I have to ask, and I think a lot of people are wondering this. Your music, it is very, let's say, emotional, very feelings heavy. Do you ever worry that it is a little too, I don't know, soft for what people expect from male artists today?" The studio went quiet for a beat. Benson's smile faltered slightly, but he recovered quickly. "I mean, I don't really think about it in those terms," he said carefully. "I write what I feel, and if that comes across as emotional or vulnerable, then that is just who I am as an artist." Joy was not done. "Right, but there is vulnerable, and then there is, almost whiny. I listened to Beautiful Things and I thought, okay, this is nice, but where is the substance? Where is the depth? It feels like you are just singing about surface-level heartbreak that every teenager goes through." The other hosts exchanged uncomfortable glances. Sunny Hostin tried to interject, "Well, I think the authenticity is what resonates with people," but Joy kept her focus locked on Benson. Benson straightened in his chair. "With all due respect, Joy, I think dismissing heartbreak as surface level is pretty reductive. Emotions are universal, and just because something is relatable does not mean it lacks depth. People connect with my music because it speaks to real experiences." "Real experiences," Joy repeated, almost mockingly. "You are what, 22? 23? What kind of deep life experiences are you really drawing from here? You went viral on an app, and now you are on a world tour. That is not exactly the school of hard knocks." The audience was dead silent now. Benson's jaw tightened. "I think you are confusing age with validity," he said, his voice steady, but harder now. "Just because I am young does not mean my experiences or my emotions are any less real or worth expressing. And frankly, I think it is pretty dismissive to suggest that someone needs to suffer in a specific way before their art matters." Joy laughed, but it was not a warm laugh. "Oh, come on. I am not saying you need to suffer. I am saying that maybe, just maybe, the music industry is handing out record deals a little too easily these days. You kids get a few million followers, and suddenly you are being compared to actual legends who paid their dues." "Paid their dues?" Benson repeated, his voice rising slightly. "I have been writing songs since I was 14 years old. I have played countless shows, worked with producers, poured everything I have into my craft. Just because my breakthrough came through social media does not invalidate the work I put in. And honestly, this whole gatekeeping mentality about who deserves success based on how they got discovered is outdated. Whoopi tried to step in. I think what Joy is trying to say is, I know what Joy is trying to say, Benson interrupted, his eyes still fixed on Joy. She is trying to say that I did not earn this, that my music is shallow, that I am just some kid who got lucky, and I am telling you, that is not only wrong, it is disrespectful to everyone who has supported me and connected with my music. Joy leaned back in her chair, arms crossed. Disrespectful? I am asking you legitimate questions. If you cannot handle a little pushback, maybe you are not ready for this level of fame. Pushback? Benson's voice was incredulous now. You have spent the last 5 minutes tearing down my music, my age, my entire path to success. That is not pushback. That is just being condescending. And you know what? I came here to talk about my music, to share my story, not to be lectured about whether I deserve to be here. The tension in the studio was palpable. The other hosts looked shocked, the audience was frozen, and the cameras kept rolling. Joy's expression hardened. Well, if you cannot handle an honest conversation— Honest? Benson cut her off. There is nothing honest about what you are doing right now. You are not trying to have a conversation. You are trying to diminish me on national television, and I am not going to sit here and let that happen. Sarah tried to de-escalate. Let's take a breath here. I think we all. But Joy was not backing down. You know what your problem is? You are so used to everyone telling you how amazing you are online that you cannot handle actual criticism. Welcome to the real world, kid. Not everyone is going to worship you. Benson stood up abruptly, his chair scraping against the floor. The studio gasped. I can handle criticism just fine, he said, his voice shaking with controlled anger. What I cannot handle is someone disguising their personal disdain as professional critique. You have made it very clear you do not respect me or my music, and I am not going to sit here and pretend this is okay. He unclipped his microphone. Benson, wait, Whoopi said, standing up as well. But he was already moving toward the edge of the set. Joy's voice rang out across the studio. Oh, so you are just going to run away? That is real mature. Benson stopped in his tracks. For a moment, it looked like he might keep walking, but instead he turned back around, his expression a mix of frustration and disbelief. You know what? No, I am not running away. I am refusing to participate in whatever this is. He gestured at Joy. You invited me here. You asked me to come on your show, and instead of having a respectful conversation, you have done nothing but attack me from the moment you opened your mouth. Joy stood up now too, matching his energy. I asked you questions, hard questions. That is what journalists do. That is what this show does. We do not just sit here and blow smoke. Hard questions? Benson let out a bitter laugh. You called my music whiny. You said I have not earned my success. You mocked my age and my background. Those are not hard questions, Joy. Those are insults dressed up as journalism, and everyone in this room knows it. The other hosts were completely frozen now. Sunny looked like she wanted to say something but could not find the words. Alyssa Farah Griffin's eyes were wide. The audience was so quiet you could hear the studio lights humming. Joy took a step toward the center of the table. If you think this is tough, wait until you have been in this industry for more than 5 minutes. Wait until the critics really come for you. Wait until your album flops and nobody cares anymore. Then you will understand what real pressure feels like. Benson's face flushed red. Are you serious right now? Are you actually wishing failure on me on national television? What is wrong with you? I am not wishing anything. Joy shot back. I am being realistic. The music industry chews people up and spits them out, especially pretty boys, who think one hit song means they have made it. I have seen it 1,000 times. Pretty boys? Benson repeated, his voice rising. So now we are going there? You are really going to reduce me to my appearance? After spending all this time telling me my music has no substance, now you are saying I am just a pretty face? Do you hear yourself? Whoopi finally stepped in more forcefully. Okay, everybody, let's just calm down for a second. But Benson was not done. No, Whoopi, I appreciate you trying to mediate, but I need to say this. Joy, I do not know what I did to you. I do not know if you just do not like my music, if you have something against young artists, or if this is just how you treat people. But this is beyond unprofessional. You have spent this entire segment trying to tear me down, and for what? To prove some point? To show how tough you are? Joy's voice was icy now. I am doing my job. My job is to ask questions that matter, to push back against the manufactured pop culture nonsense that gets shoved down our throats every day. You are a product, Benson. A carefully crafted, algorithm-driven product designed to make money off of teenage girls' emotions. And excuse me for not buying into the hype. The studio erupted. Half the audience gasped. The other half started murmuring to each other. Sarah put her head in her hands. Sunny shook her head slowly. Benson stared at Joy for a long moment, and when he spoke, his voice was quieter but somehow more intense. A product. That is what you think I am. You know what the saddest part about this is? I actually respected you. I grew up watching this show. I thought you were smart, funny, someone who spoke truth to power. But right now, all I see is someone who is so jaded and bitter that you cannot stand to see someone young succeed. And that is really, really sad. Joy's eyes flashed. Do not psychoanalyze me, kid. You do not know anything about me. You are right. I don't, Benson said. But I know what I see. I see someone who is more interested in tearing people down than building them up. I see someone who thinks cruelty is the same thing as honesty. And I see someone who is so desperate to stay relevant that they will attack a guest on their own show just to create a viral moment. The entire set went silent. Even Joy seemed momentarily stunned by that last line. Alyssa finally spoke up, her voice shaky. I think maybe we should go to commercial. But Joy found her voice again. Viral moment? You think I need you for a viral moment? I have been on television longer than you have been alive. I do not need some flash-in-the-pan singer to make me relevant. Then why are you trying so hard? Benson countered. Why are you going out of your way to humiliate me? If I am just some irrelevant kid with no talent, why waste your breath? Because, Joy said, her voice hard, someone needs to tell you the truth. Someone needs to burst this bubble you are living in, where everyone tells you how special you are. The real world does not work that way. Talent matters. Longevity matters. And I am sorry, but crying into a microphone about your high school girlfriend does not make you an artist. Benson's hands were shaking now, but his voice stayed steady. You want to talk about what makes someone an artist? Fine. Let's talk about it. An artist is someone who creates something that moves people, someone who puts themselves out there, who takes risks, who makes themselves vulnerable, even when they know people like you will tear them apart for it. I have done that. My music has connected with millions of people. It has helped people through breakups, through loss, through depression. I have gotten thousands of messages from fans telling me that my songs saved their lives. So you can sit here and call me a product. You can say, I am not a real artist. But the people who matter, the people who actually listen, they disagree with you. Joy scoffed. Oh, please. Everyone thinks their favorite singer saved their life. That is called parasocial relationships and good marketing. And there it is, Benson said, almost to himself. There is the real issue. You cannot accept that something you do not understand or appreciate might actually matter to other people. You have decided that because you do not like my music, it must be worthless. That is not criticism, Joy. That is ego. Whoopi stood up fully now. All right. I think we really need to. I am leaving, Benson said, cutting her off but keeping his tone respectful. Whoopi, Sunny, Sarah, Alyssa, thank you for having me. I am sorry this turned into what it turned into. He looked at Joy one last time. And Joy, I genuinely hope whatever is making you this angry gets better. I really do. He turned to walk away again, and this time Joy's voice was almost desperate. So that is it? You are just going to walk out in the middle of a live show? Benson stopped but did not turn around. I am walking out of a hostile environment. There is a difference. He paused. You know what the worst part about all of this is? I came here excited. I was looking forward to this conversation. I thought we would talk about music, about creativity, about the journey. Instead, I got ambushed by someone who decided before I even sat down that I was not worth their respect. So yeah, I am leaving. Because my mental health and my dignity are worth more than finishing this interview. Joy's voice rose. Your mental health? Oh, give me a break. This is exactly what I am talking about. Your generation cannot handle anything. Now Benson did turn around, and his face was a mixture of hurt and anger. My generation cannot handle anything? That is your takeaway from this? Not that you spent the last 15 minutes verbally attacking someone who came here in good faith, but that I am too sensitive for pointing it out? I am saying that you are proving my point, Joy said, her voice sharp. The second someone challenges you, you fold. You talk about being vulnerable in your music, but you cannot handle vulnerability in a real conversation. Benson walked back toward the table, and for a moment, it looked like he might sit back down, but he stopped a few feet away. You want to talk about vulnerability? Real vulnerability is sitting here while someone I admired tells me I am worthless on live television. Real vulnerability is trying to stay calm while you mock everything I have worked for. Real vulnerability is knowing that millions of people are watching this, and I have to decide whether to fight back or just take it. So do not talk to me about vulnerability, Joy, because you have no idea what it costs. Sunny jumped in, her voice firm. Joy, I think Benson has a point here. This has gone beyond tough questions. This has become personal, and I think we need to acknowledge that. Joy turned to Sunny, looking betrayed. Oh, so now you are taking his side? I am not taking sides, Sunny said. I am saying that, as someone sitting at this table, watching this happen, it feels like we crossed a line. We can ask hard questions without making it personal. We can challenge guests without attacking them. Sarah nodded in agreement. I have to agree with Sunny. Benson, I am really sorry this turned into this. This was not what any of us expected. Joy looked around the table, her expression hardening even more. Unbelievable. So I am the bad guy now? For doing what we have always done on this show? This is not what we always do, Alyssa said quietly. This felt different, Joy. This felt mean. Joy's face flushed. Mean? I am being honest. I am being real. Just because he cannot take it does not make me mean. Benson's voice cut through the crosstalk. You know what, Joy? You are right about one thing. I cannot take it. I cannot take being disrespected like this. I cannot take someone using their platform to try to humiliate me. I cannot take being called a product and a pretty boy and being told my music is worthless. You are absolutely right. I cannot take that, and I should not have to. Nobody should have to. The audience started clapping. It started with just a few people, but within seconds, it was half the studio. Joy looked stunned. Benson looked surprised himself. Joy's voice was tight. Oh, so now the audience is against me too? This is unbelievable. Whoopi raised her hands. All right, everyone, please, can we just take a breath? She looked at Benson. Benson, I am truly sorry this conversation went the way it did. That was not our intention in inviting you here. Benson nodded, his expression softening slightly when he looked at Whoopi. I know it was not your intention, Whoopi, and I appreciate you saying that. But I think I need to go. I think staying here and continuing this is just going to make things worse. Joy was not letting it go. So you are going to walk out and make me look like the villain? That is your plan? Benson turned to her one last time. Joy, you are making yourself look however you look. I am not doing anything to you. I am just refusing to be a punching bag. If that makes you feel like a villain, maybe you should ask yourself why. The silence that followed was deafening. Joy opened her mouth like she was going to say something else, then closed it. Her face was red, her jaw set. Benson looked at the other hosts. "Thank you again for the invitation. I really do appreciate it, even though this did not go the way any of us hoped." He glanced at the audience, many of whom were still clapping sporadically. "And thank you all for the support. It means more than you know." He started walking toward the exit of the set. The cameras followed him. Joy sat back down heavily in her chair, her arms crossed, staring straight ahead. The other hosts looked at each other, clearly unsure what to do or say. Just before Benson disappeared through the backstage entrance, Joy called out one more time, "You will regret this. Walking out like this. It will follow you." Benson stopped in the doorway. He did not turn around this time, but his voice carried clearly across the studio. "The only thing I will regret is not standing up for myself sooner. The only thing I will regret is thinking I needed to sit there and take it just because you are who you are. But walking out, refusing to let someone treat me like that, I will never regret that." And then he was gone. The studio was in chaos. The audience was buzzing. Some people were standing. Others were arguing with each other about what they had just witnessed. The hosts sat in stunned silence. Joy stared at her notes, her face unreadable. Whoopi looked exhausted. Sarah had tears in her eyes. After what felt like an eternity, but was probably only 30 seconds, Whoopi turned to the camera. "We are going to take a break. We will be right back." The show cut to commercial, but the damage was done. Within minutes, clips of the confrontation were already spreading across social media. Within an hour, Benson Boone was trending worldwide. The hashtags were flying. Some people were Team Benson, praising him for standing up to what they saw as bullying. Others were Team Joy, saying he could not handle legitimate criticism. The debate raged across every platform. But one thing was undeniable. Benson Boone had just had one of the most memorable moments in The View's history, and he had done it by refusing to back down, by standing up for himself, and by walking away from a situation that had become toxic. Whether people agreed with him or not, nobody could say. He just sat there and took it. He fought back with words, with dignity, and ultimately, with action. The question everyone was asking was simple. Who was right? Was Joy just doing her job, asking hard questions that young celebrities need to hear? Or had she crossed a line, turning an interview into a personal attack? Was Benson too sensitive, unable to handle criticism as he built his career? Or was he justified in calling out disrespect and protecting his mental health? The internet could not agree. Think pieces were written. News outlets covered it for days. Other celebrities weighed in, some supporting Benson, others defending Joy's right to ask tough questions. The View itself became a topic of national conversation, with people debating whether the show had become too confrontational or whether this was exactly the kind of real, unfiltered television people wanted to see. For Benson, the walkout became a defining moment. Some said it would hurt his career, that he looked unprofessional. Others said it made him more relatable, more real, someone who would not compromise his self-respect for fame. His streaming